Okay, so it's now time to actually start with the extraction process. I've been delaying this for so long now, I even cleaned my shed. But it really is time to get on, and I've actually messed up the timings for my EP project a little bit because I was focusing on growing chilies and getting everything perfect before I actually started. So first thing I have to do is to set up the equipment. The first setup that we're going to be doing is the actual soxhlet extraction one, which is going to involve this and this condensing tube and one of these, some of that, heater, this. You'll see when it's done. Gonna move my bike out to give me a bit more room. Actually no, I won't, because it's not that crowded in here at the moment. And I'm gonna get this bit set up. So let's see how it looks after. So here is this setup. This is the soxhlet extractor setup, the first setup that I'm going to be using. I have filled this up with water. When I'm actually using it, I'm going to be putting some ice in there as well to keep its temperature down and therefore keep the whole system cooled. Here is the condenser which I've hooked up, and the pump is running at the moment, so that has got cool water flowing through it in the outside of this. So this is the central tube that goes through it all the way up there and then out. And hopefully the idea is that by the time the ethanol has reached the top, it will have condensed. So there's that, which I'll just put down here. So that's in series with this pump and this. And here we have our heat source, this which is going to have the ethanol in it, and this which is the soxhlet extractor, which is going to have the some cotton wool and some dried up chilies in it. And we're pretty much ready from this front. I have the chili powder there that I've made. I have the ethanol in my room, and we have this all set up, and so it's looking like I'm going to be able to do this pretty soon, which is quite exciting. So this setup will probably be used tonight, if not tomorrow, because I'm in a rush to get this extraction done now. Probably 2 days we're looking at. I want to do it, so either today, tomorrow, or the day after. So sorry, 3 days probably. And in that time I want to have done it, so that I can get on to evaluating the method, so I can make a new method and gaining conclusions from any data I've collected. So what I'm going to be doing is measuring the amount of chilies I use, measuring the amount of ethanol I use, just making some quantitative conclusions about the actual process to give a more scientific standpoint. But in essence, this is it. This is what my project has led to. It's all based around this setup here and that chili powder there. And we're going to be doing it 2 times. So I'm going to be evaluating the method from this time, coming up with a better method, and then by the end of this month I'm going to have done it a second time, using them chilies there. So we've got another half of our chilies, and the ones that I've air dried, although if I don't need them I might save them for eating or whatever. But yeah, it's looking good. You can see the necessity for something I noticed the other day, the insane amount by which the volume of these has gone down. This started off life in my first video as 500 grams of chili. So overall I have 1 kilogram of Scotch bonnets. This is half of that, okay, turned into powder, and you can really see how this is around 100 ml of water, so it'd be 100 grams of water left, and it just goes to show the insane proportion of water that is actually in chilies. And even in this state they're probably still around 5% water, maybe a bit over that. So to set up the soxhlet extractor, the first thing you have to do is to place some cotton wool into the bottom of it, so that none of the chili can go into this and clog it up. So I'm going to put that there, and using a glass rod, I'm going to stuff that down a bit, like so. There's probably a bit too much in there, but it's quite good. Right. And then the next thing I've got to do, actually I've got to measure out a known quantity of this, because I'm going to collect data on the experiment, so I need to go measure. I don't know how much I'm going to use, probably 15 grams, but it needs to go up to about here, so I'm going to go measure that out now. The smallest deviation on this is kind of out of the range of the amount of this I want to be using, so what I might do is measure it by volume. So I've got volume indications on the side here, but still that's not very accurate. And I actually Okay, so the aim is for me to have it up to about here, which I'd say is comparable to the volume in this. Yeah? So I'm going to actually just fill this up. I think I'm going to need a bit more than this, but if I squash this down, this is about 25, sorry, still. I don't know, can you see that, Debbie?
Yeah, that's about 25.
It's a bit above. So I'll do we'll see how much this fills up, and then we'll judge. So, okay, that was pretty good. Gonna need, oh, I hope I haven't touched the wrong end of this. Oh well, I'll clean my hands and put gloves on in a second. So I need a bit more than that, but I'll measure it out into this as well. This is another 5 ml.
Yeah.
Okay, so putting the total in here to 30 millilitres of crushed Scotch bonnet. And I'll work out the density of these later, Tabby. If I know the density and the volume, what can I work out? So if I know how much they weigh per unit volume, and I know their unit volume, what can we deduce, do you think? I can work out the weight.
You can work out the weight.
I think you can, yeah. Okay, and then put another one of these on top. As so. So you've got your safety gear on, show the camera. She's got safety gear on. I'm a bit more prepared, but she's not going to be touching anything apart from the camera, so it should be fine. We have the Soxley extractor set up. Come have a look at this, Tabby, going quite close. Now we've got to put 250 millilitres of anhydrous ethanol into this. I don't have full anhydrous, I have 95%. And yeah, of course it's going to have an impact, but I don't know what the impact is. If it's a significant one, I'll be able to adapt it for next time, because this is about development rather than perfection straight away. Let's dry this up. It's just got water in it at the moment, but it needs to be as dry as possible. Because as I said, I'm trying to keep all water out, so. Okay, so that is 100 millilitres. I seem to be dripping, which is very annoying. So we're going to start off with it not connected, because I'm going to like heat it up slowly and then put it into this, okay?
Okay.
And then put that on top. Now I've just switched the pump on. I don't know if we can hear it. So, and this goes on top of here. Okay, this is where we tighten it very well. Get the gas going. Yep, that's more gas. Simple as. You see?
Yeah.
That's pretty good, no? Okay, let's just put that in there. It's quite nice. Okay, this is what we use, and okay, let's just see. Okay, you can hear it boiling. That's quite cool. Look at that, it's boiling quite viciously. We don't want it to boil crazy vicious. But yeah. Might use a bit of glass at the top to see if anything's coming out, because basically it should form like a cloud on this if it was coming out the top as steam, but I think we'd see it, so I don't think actually that's going to be an issue. But yeah, it's too early to tell. It's moving there, okay? And what we want is vapor. It's going to collect in here, but also it's going to go up. Look at that. Okay, this is too feisty, basically. That's too feisty. We don't want it to boil this quick. But yeah, this is the principle of it. Water's good. You see it dripping there? You can maybe come around this way a bit, but
don't know if you'll be able to see it on camera.
So We've got a steady drip here, you see.
Yeah.
So what's happened there? The ethanol's gone up into here, potentially, like it could have just gone around the sides as well, but it's gone up into here. The cold water that's running through this has cooled it down enough to turn it back into a liquid, okay? You understand the concept of condensation?
Yeah.
And so it's gone back into a liquid, and then it's dripping down, and it's dripping down to here.
Cool.
And yeah, we move.
So bubbly.
It is so bubbly. As you can see, we've collected quite a lot. The this orange has appeared because the ethanol's drawn capsaicin oils through that and drawn the beta carotene through that. And also you can see this siphon is close to the point where it's going to actually siphon. Okay, and just wait. And seriously, watch. So watch with your own eyes, because look, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening.
Whoa.
Look at that. It draws all of it through the whole thing. You see that? Look at that, look at that. Once it's going, it pulls all the other through by creating a vacuum behind it. So it's 3 o'clock, so it's been going for about 3 hours now. And as I predicted, it would take from 3 to 4 hours. You can see it's starting to run very clear. This is actually the last cycle I'm going to do, because it's been about 25 cycles through. And you can see this has gotten a lot thicker, meaning it can bubble now. It's creating a bit of a froth. And I think this is the end point. In the time, I've been grinding up this a bit more and doing some playing around with this setup, but mainly just watching it. I'm going to be doing another one the exact same tonight, because this is the first batch I'm doing, because I'll be able to distill off the ethanol in the 2 batches in one big go, as this will be more efficient. Okay, you can see it's getting quite close now. It's reached the top. It's just got to go around the 180-degree bend. The colour of this has stayed pretty constant. Well, it did get it got a lot richer at one point.
At the start.
Yeah, but it's and you can see how it's bleaching into that a bit as well. Yeah, but now keeping it going will lead to not very much extra progress, and I just want to get on to doing the next lot. So I could wait for this to go clear. Here we go, it's going now. But I don't believe there's much to be gained from that. It would be a bit useful, but so here we go. Let's turn this off.
That was so cool.
Look on the shed.
It's cool.
So I'm nearly at the end of the second extraction of the day on the first batch of chilies. As you can see, it's starting to run quite clear. The chilies in there have lost most of their colour, and this is getting nice and thick. I've also been going for almost 3 hours for the second time today, making it around, well, 6 hours, 7 hours including setup. Like, it's just run through. So that was pretty much, we'll do one more and then we'll call it. Ooh, one thing I was going to point out was that after this has been sitting for a while, so this is how I stored it, that it's gone less clear. It started to go quite cloudy. So these are things that were in solution when it was a bit warm, but now have come out of solution, which is good, because these aren't the capsaicin we're looking for. Capsaicinoids are highly soluble in ethanol, and therefore once we filter that off quite well, it should then take out them impurities, leaving us with a lot nicer product. So we have our 2 ethanol capsaicinoid solutions. There's also going to be a few bits in here that are mystery pieces, because there's a lot of cloudy non-soluble solids at the bottom, which we're going to try and filter off. So we have this solution, and it's quite, well, it's got a lot of liquid in it, a lot of ethanol, so we're going to distill this off essentially, and then we'll get a purer solution. But first, while it's in a liquid form, we're going to filter it, because the capsaicinoids are highly soluble in ethanol. Okay, so if we filter it, capsaicinoids will still be there essentially in the ethanol. But for example, salt is non-soluble in cold ethanol. That's why I've allowed it to cool down, because I know that some of the stuff at the bottom might have been salt that was dissolved when it was a bit warmer. Ah, that's beautiful.
It is amazing.
So let's, as we can see, cloud at the bottom, Don't want the cloud in this, so I'm going to pour it slowly because there's a chance it'll stay in. Okay? To an extent. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
So we pour. Okay. And that will do. I'll clean this out later, but apart from that.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So that's all the stuff we didn't want, because that isn't soluble in ethanol, which tells us it's not capsaicinoids. I don't care about it. This is looking really good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's looking excellent. Right, I think the filter is holding up good enough, so I'm going to pour the other one in. Start off with, just doesn't really matter. Because I know that there's no, well, there is a bit in the top bit, but I haven't shaken it, so it should still be at the bottom. Okay, so this is way too full, but shouldn't matter as long as I can. Just worried about, you know, when stuff drips.
Oh yeah.
So you just have to commit. That wasn't that bad.
Okay.
This is the setup. We'll talk until this does the first drip, because it's quite cool to see it drip across. I know that the boiling point of ethanol is around 72, maybe? I don't know, it's been a while. But I've got this thermometer in there so I can keep track, because I don't want it to boil too ferociously, because the gas will go straight up here, straight out, and just up. Like, we'll lose it in the air. We'll breathe it in. Which actually gets you really drunk. I want to put something over the top of this.
What?
But this will just absorb it and not drip it back.
So.
I'm a genius, kind of.
No.
I mean, if it works, I'm a genius.
It's wobbling.
I'm happy with it. Because there's the drip thing at the bottom as well, so that should work. And now, I've been heating up slowly. I can see some boiling, you can see it along the sides.
I just realised, in
Yeah.
all these, you'll be able to see me in my pyjamas. Also,
Yeah.
my hair's really curly. It's because I haven't brushed it.
Yeah. I mean, that's a you problem. I'm using it on YouTube. And like, for my EP, some chief examiner's gonna see, and like my whole school when my project goes viral.
Oh. It's gonna be funny.
No, I'm joking, I don't know. I don't know who will see. So you can see it bubbling here. That's a good thing for us. See, drips forming on the thermometer now. I can see some ethanol forming here. You see that?
Yep.
And we've seen our first drip go across. You'll see it, maybe the camera can't. But you follow it down, because that's what we're waiting for. Then we'll stop recording for a bit. Well, we'll wait for a decent amount to go, because sometimes this whole chunk just goes. But yeah. Oh, it's actually already got its first drip in there.
Ta-da.
Look at that. And that's a steady drip. What's the colour of that?
Clear.
And what's the colour of this?
Red.
Science. Right, so we boiled the first lot down. So we collected some ethanol over here, probably about 100 ml. And we have put the rest of the solution in here so that we can do it in one batch. Yeah, that's that. I'm just going to heat it a bit ferociously for a second.
Okay.
Just get it up to the heat. Go back down. Because I was getting bored.
Oh,
I'm such an idiot. See, that's what happens when you're impatient, Abby. You get me?
yeah. I get you. Drip. Sorry.
So, now I have to clear this out. Okay. Well, I'm glad that was on video, because it literally had my whole thought process as well.
Do you want to turn that off?
Ow, yeah, it hurts.
Hmm.
That was my hairs burning. I didn't even notice until you said. I was so distracted by how disappointed I am in myself.
Okay.
Okay, we go again. Basically the gas canister ran out, so I have to set it up with this. I'm going to take that chance to clean this, clean everything basically, so that I don't pollute that.
That looks really good.
Yeah. Such a wobbly set. Right. Try number 3. So basically, I've just distilled what was in this and mixed it with the distillation from yesterday. And so we're at a point now where there's not really enough ethanol in here for me to justify collecting it anymore. This is the ethanol that I have collected. And so I'm going to just boil off the excess on this. Once it gets to a point where it will all fit in here, I'll put it in here, add a bit of ethanol to clean this out and pour it in there, and then just carry on the process in that smaller tub, and then we'll go to a smaller one and a smaller one until we have a final product. We don't want it to boil too fast because it will just come out, like the bubbles will probably be quite intense. Because the liquid's getting really thick, it can bubble up quite high. Right, Tubby, go. Don't stay. Turn it off and leave. Turn it off. I'd like to bring attention to the fact that this video series is by no means an instructional one. It merely goes over my experiences and the progress that I've made towards my EPQ. It's not something that you should follow looking to have success. I don't underline in the videos fully the actual processes that I go through to a level where you would be able to follow his instructions anyway, but it's merely just something to have proof in my EP of certain things. So, as you could probably tell by the time lapse, it didn't go amazingly well. I couldn't be in there watching it at all times because the smell was too bad, and it was starting to quite hurt. And so I'd left it, just waiting outside in my garden, and it had boiled over. I probably saved about half of it. You know, not much I can do about that. I've got next time where I can improve on my techniques, and we will learn from that. I have some sticky tar-like substance, which I imagine is quite spicy. So we've got that. You can see how we've spilt loads, and that's a real shame. But yeah, this is the final product, I guess. Not final product, I'm gonna distill it a bit more probably. But that's the capsaicin oils with some beta carotene, and I can't imagine there's, well, there'll still be some ethanol, still be some water in there, but hey, shall I try it? I think I should. I don't know. Is now the time? Still very potent in here. Right. Oh, I'm going to do it in the most manly way I can think of. I'm going to put a bit onto the end of a nail, because I don't want to use one of my glass rods because it would give me too much. And I hear that you really shouldn't be having more than a pinprick of this stuff. So, got some on a nail. Whew! Okay. I mean, I had literally the smallest amount I can imagine. Just like one corner of a nail that I just dragged along my tongue, but no, I can get behind that being possibly one of the spiciest things I've ever had. But it's actually surprisingly not that bad. Like I thought it'd be a lot worse, which just shows I need to concentrate it a bit more. But no, for what it is, that is spicy. There we go. I know you can't really infer anything from this because you don't know my tolerance. It's quite high. But I don't know, we'll see. Okay, I had another bit, but this bit was a bit more concentrated. And, whew, I think the bit I had before was quite possibly covered in ethanol or something. No, sorry, like, it wasn't as concentrated by quite a lot.
It's now cooled down, and I had a proper bit. And I had a tiny bit though. It was still like a pinprick. Like you could barely see it on my tongue. But it's very, very spicy. It's probably the spiciest thing I've had. Meaning it's over 1,200 million, 1.2 million Scoville units. So there you go.